Laeta dies mani lucis, non ad sferens novae lucis, hodie colitum, unc per calam orientis, admiremur ascendentis, patriarches Regia. Peace be with you and welcome back to my Monastic Musings channel. When I first opened this channel, my intention was to post videos that dealt solely with Catholic spirituality from a Benedictine monastic point of view. I wanted to avoid turning into a talking head, that is, another chin-wagger weighing in on controversies of the day, or another on-air Catholic apologist. At the time this channel launched, I was a hermit according to Canon 603, and I was actively setting out on what I believed to be my vocation to establish a Benedictine monastery in the region. Founding this monastery was to be in response to the call of the Second Vatican Council for monasteries and religious institutes of the consecrated life to return to the original spirit of their founders. My hope was that my videos would attract support for my mission. As various controversies arose over the past several years, I found it hard not to respond or comment on them. There were also events in my personal life which challenged my understanding of my life's journey. It was quite devastating when the Archbishop withdrew his support for my continuation as a Canon 603 hermit in 2019. It was even more devastating when I became homeless and ended up living in a shelter for several months between 2020 and 2021. Many of the videos I have been posting were laments over my situation or commentary on the direction in which I saw my local church, the Archdiocese of San Francisco, heading. At times I lapsed into comic satire to point out the absurdity of so many things in today's American Catholicism. With each new year, I have made promises to renew the mission of the channel, only to have events of the day inspire me to break that promise. Although I have many thoughts to share regarding the spiritual life in Catholicism, I find it hard to resist creating content on other topics. This year, I hope that I have found the answer to this dilemma. Open a new channel and post there those videos that are outside the Monastic Musings mission, while, and please excuse the buzzwords, reinvigorating the Musings brand. The new channel has been opened, and the link to it is provided in the description below. My own faith journey began when I was just 6 years old and in first grade. Although I came from a deeply religious family, my parents left the formal teaching of religion to the sisters at our parochial school. I was blessed to be taught in first grade by a very sweet and very young sister, she was only 21 years old, whose great gift was her ability to tell stories to young children. It was she who told us the story of Jesus and how his great sacrifice won for us eternal life and the opportunity to share in it. I was so impressed at how much Jesus loved me that I concluded in my simple 6-year-old mind that nothing made more sense than to learn to become a saint, just like the sisters taught us in school. It took me many more years to figure out that simply understanding this truth was not enough, and that holiness required large doses of humility and self-awareness. But nevertheless, I was hooked on the faith, and nothing was going to shake that, not even my own foibles and vanity. Being a pious child did not help my popularity among other children. I was already odd for my not liking sports, my slowness in school, and my preference for the arts rather than academics. My religiosity only added to my eccentricities. However, my youthful innocence and naivete toward the sins of the institutional church and its checkered past also meant that my faith was not clouded by cynicism or a bitter zeal. Since there were and had been many religious vocations in my extended family, and since I had a couple of siblings go through the diocesan seminary, I was not easily dissuaded from the faith by negative experiences with sisters and priests, which inevitably happened along the way. I grew up understanding that a religious or priestly vocation did not automatically make one a saint, and I could easily separate human failings from the divine presence in the sacramental life of the Church. There had been some favorite sisters as teachers, but I never put any of the priests or sisters on a pedestal. As I got older, I did come to understand that there had been bad popes, bad bishops, and bad priests in the Church's history, and I certainly had my share of problematic sisters who taught me in school. However, the bad behavior of Catholic clergy and religious did not negatively impact my relationship with Jesus or my desire to partake in the sacraments. Other children may have complained about attending Mass, the Stations of the Cross, and benediction, but I loved all of it, even if it made me stand out as weird among my classmates. I am sure that those early years, when I was blissfully ignorant of institutional wrongs and untouched by historical church scandals, played a significant role in how I have viewed the faith and teachings of the Church throughout my entire life. When I was about to enter novitiate as a Benedictine monk, a poor Clare nun gave me the best advice I had ever received, advice that I continue to hold on to this very day. She told me that when she started novitiate, she prayed every day to be made aware of God's hand in everything around her, especially when she did not understand why things were happening to her. She told me that there would always be contradictions in life. But if I were to see these difficulties in light of the contradiction of the cross, I would gain great insight into how each difficulty was a grace to holiness, making it easier to embrace each moment as it comes. The words from St. Paul's letter to the Roman Church, chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, have been something of a motto in my life. I urge you, therefore, brothers, by the mercy of God, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, your spiritual worship. Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and pleasing and perfect. In other words, understanding the will of God and being aware of the hand of God in difficult moments is made possible by handing oneself over as a living sacrifice to God. The act of self-offering is a vehicle toward wisdom, which helps us to be more aware of God's presence in that difficult time. Giving oneself over to God makes us aware of God's grace working to bring good out of the most difficult and darkest situations. If you have been following my life story up until now, you are very much aware that I have lived through some very harsh moments. I have had experiences that few people would understand, and have gone through situations in which I have been greatly vilified and abandoned by people I should have trusted. For most of my life, I have had to fend for myself. At this very moment, I am totally alone. In my daily self-offering to God, I have come to understand that whatever I must accomplish each day does not define my ultimate purpose in life, and whatever form my life takes in the future does not define that purpose either. These days, I have had more than enough time to reflect upon how far I have come, what I have endured, and where I may be headed. What I have concluded is that there is one major purpose to my life: to survive, to survive, to survive. I started to connect with my faith back in the fall of 1961, a year before the Second Vatican Council convened, and before the Cuban Missile Crisis, the assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr., and Robert F. Kennedy. Those were also the long years of the Vietnam conflict, and I would encounter the scandals of Watergate and witness much of the fallout in the Catholic Church as it faced the societal and technological developments in the late 1960s and into the 1970s. I believe that I was given the gift of an innocent faith early on in life so that I could absorb it without prejudice. I was left sufficiently open-minded to grasp the essentials and non-negotiables of Catholic faith and practice. This understanding served me well as the reforms of Vatican II rolled out, and as I faced the unprecedented ways they were being represented to me by those in church leadership and in local Catholic communities. Keeping my faith alive through the tumult of these ages has been a work of grace for me. This grace continues to serve me now, while a significant portion, though not a majority, of the current U.S. Catholic population would have us all turn our clocks and calendars back to the 1950s. This movement continues under the mistaken notion that the post-World War II years represented an ideal time in Catholic America, and that we should all return to the values and mores of that era. For one whose life spans from those allegedly halcyon days to the present with my faith intact, my point of view should be of value here, and my survival as one still devoted to the practice of my Catholic faith should be useful to younger people seeking answers. In this year of 2023, I have chosen for myself the spiritual theme of seeking the light. I have chosen this theme in the hope that I may find my way out of a darkness that has enshrouded me for more than a decade. As part of this effort to seek the light, I am committing myself to more frequent video postings, at least one new video every month going forward. In these videos, I plan to share personal reflections in a hopeful light, somewhat like I did a few moments ago when I shared my earliest coming to faith experience as a child. For those of you who find such vlogs to be of interest and value, I hope that you will help me continue making them by subscribing to this channel, liking this video, and perhaps leaving a positive comment below. I have also created a new GoFundMe campaign to support me in this mission of light as I continue to rise out of the very harsh experiences from my past. If you are able, please contribute by clicking on the link provided in the description below. There is also a website link that should help you understand my story and what is my vision for the future. I do pray for all my benefactors and friends and for all those whom they love. Peace be with you.